The only bedroom that cannot be inherited, i.e., that nobody can sleep in, is the grave. Welcome to another episode. Kwalafia, Ekaro, Dasba, Ansuma, Mimamachi, Subahul Khair. Bonjour, good morning. We continue with our story. And again, an apology. In the last video, I inserted in some paragraph. Oh, yes, a paragraph, which was not supposed to be there. It's meant for another story. I will explain myself by showing viewers. This is it. Oh, let me digress a bit. You can see there is a red mark there, beginning there. So it's not supposed to be there. Oh, let me digress a bit. Then it stops at his name was given as Isufu Bathol, and this is another red mark there. So all the writing that was within here is not included in my writing about the deserts. And so from the same could happen to any one of us. Yeah, from the same could happen to any one of us. We jump that paragraph, or we skip that paragraph. Oh, it's okay, let's jump, it doesn't matter. We jump that paragraph and we come to the same could have happened to any one of us. Yes, that's full. That ends a sentence. Then we are supposed to leave out the bracketed place. Those places are marked. We leave that out and we come to under this rocky story. Yes, under this rocky story, we drank and then we came to a pause. Okay, I can read it again. Under this rocky story, we drank enough, washed down, and got our plastic water containers filled again, and off we left, never to come by any similar water source again. Yes, this is where we pause. Let me see. We came across a few shallow graves. Yes, we came across a few shallow graves, which I never took notice of course, until my attention was drawn to them. One at a time, which I never took notice of. Others did, and pointed to them. Full stop. People who had not been able to make it earlier had to be quickly buried on the spot for the journey to continue. It was so difficult. People had to fling uh, the personal effects. I think it's their personal effects onto the desert for being an extra burden on them. They have to fling their when they touch, because there was nothing. Even you yourself, you cannot work. How much carrying something on you or holding something? Of course, except food. For being a burden on them. These included small boxes and handbags. All that was absolutely necessary for us was the water we had. That was the only commodity we couldn't afford. That was the only commodity we could not avoid carrying. Yes. That was the only commodity we could not avoid carrying, water and food. Even though we would have prepared walking barehanded, but you can't. When you're in town, you can come barehanded or hands in the pocket and be strolling and making yanga. There, you can't. You walk barehanded. What will you drink? What will you eat? Hmm? Even though we would have prepared walking barehanded, full stop. One evening, we came across what happened to look like an abandoned village. Yes, it was spooky, that area. You go there, you see things like ants, moves, or these tall, tall things. I don't know whether they are mountains or houses or what now, maybe our archaeologists can explain them better. One evening, we came across what happened to look like an abandoned village. Yes. We saw mud structures, all tall, and walking through them was scary. Yes, that's what I mean. We were told these were the remains of the historical flooding, and that's of Noah, the prophet Noah, or Nuhu, as Muslims say, of the historical flooding God the Almighty caused during the era of the prophet Noah. Then came a time when we used to cross the then came a time when we had to cross the Hagar Mountains. Well, one of us explained that that was the Mount Hagar. Hmm? And when I say crossing it, of course, you are not stupid to climb up to the peak and then descend. No, you go around it. You can't. Okay. Well, that was the name given to it by one of us, one of those travelers. Then came a time when we had to cross the Hagar Mountains as we were told. Yes, of course, we had to go by the side. It was still not easy for already defatigued economic migrants, full stop. We, those ahead, could hardly make out those behind us. They looked so small. In other words, when you are climbing the mountain and those who are behind, who are left behind, and you look down far at them, they were small. You see, it's like being in an airplane and looking at people down. Mm. Of course, not an airplane, not high up at a very low altitude and looking at people down. We probably were spread over a distance of about 1 kilometer. In other words, the first person on the mountain and the last person on the mountain were about a kilometer apart, something like that, or more, It could have been more. They were crying and calling for help, for us to wait for them. We had to rest. So they were those reminding us that we have to rest. When you see them crying, of course, you are waiting for them, you'll be resting at the same time. The sad thing is that as soon as they get to you, you start to go again because it was not even your intention to rest. Oh my God. We had to rest. Two energetic boys went back and carried two of them on their backs to where we were. So you see, at home, you all show yourself. I am strong. I'm stronger. I'm stronger. You make younger. But when it gets to critical times, that's where you see men who are men and who are not men. Hmm? Yes. So people had to go back to carry them. When they talk, they say they have but no strength, no energy, no stamina. Pardon me. Uh, their backs to where we were. Like I said earlier, they could hardly rest. They had to continue. They had to, no, they could hardly rest, full stop. We had to continue because we because we had enough rest, we had rested enough. We full stop. We still had to be no, they still had to be carried in turns. However, I wasn't strong enough to help. Yes, I'm honest. I could help myself. My strength was just for myself, but to give it to another person, no, it wasn't. I couldn't. Mm. Okay, not because I didn't like to, but I couldn't. Okay, they still had to be carried in turns. However, I wasn't strong enough to help. Those who did were surprisingly not big looking. I think I did this one. Okay, let's go on. Not good looking. The slim looking people have the energy to walk long distances and climb mountains. Very likely, we're approaching a Libya town. We're approaching a Libya town called Gat. Gat spells Gat spelled Ghart. We're approaching a Libya town called Gat. Which name? Okay, called Gat. We had earlier spotted the lights on the dawn of Monday. So we're going from Friday afternoon to Monday. When we looked up, we saw the lights. It's like seeing light at the end of the tunnel. Yes, our tunnel was from Janit to the Libyan border. It was tunnel. It wasn't dark, but we had no idea when we were going to get to Libya. And in the morning, we looked up and we saw lights. Uh, on the dawn of Monday, at about this time, the guard abandoned us to our faith. Actually, he didn't abandon us, he just left us because there was no need. We didn't know the way. He brought us to the point where we saw the light ourselves. What was the use staying with us? He didn't need to take us into Libya. He wouldn't even get into Libya. That's not his habitat. His habitat is the desert. His habitat is the desert. So, okay, abandoned us to our fate. We got to this town. We got to this town, Gat, in the evening of Monday. We got to this town, Gat, in the evening of Monday. We were housed in what seemed to be an abandoned ancient mud building without any visible sign. Without any visible sign of cementing or of cement, let me say of cement. I think there wasn't any visible sign of cement. They're like, all mud. Then we were shown a canteen to go to eat our first real meal for about 2 weeks. Yes, is it 2 weeks or 3 weeks? I think viewers can find it from the date I started. I think it was May 19. Well, I'll bring the date later. For about 2 weeks. Lest I forget, on the 11th day of our journey in the desert, I think I did this. I think I did this. Oh, what a shame. All right, viewers, pardon me. Sometimes I can make errors, silly errors. On the 11th day of our journey in the desert, I started to notice a urethral discharge. I wasn't surprised because I quickly remembered my encounter with a beautiful girl back in Nigeria, I quickly brought out my antibiotics. I did it. I did it. I don't know where I left. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to repeat it because because I can't tell where I stopped. I marked where I ended, but I cannot find it, sadly. Oh my God. All right, Namshi. I quickly remembered my encounter with a beautiful girl back in Nigeria. I quickly brought out my antibiotics and treated myself for several days while in the desert. Yes, and I treated them well. I treated it. I treated the disease, the urethral discharge well while in the desert. Now back to the canteen. The food was fine with chicken and salad. However, while in the however, while in there, while in there, something happened that will probably not happen to me again ever in my life, and which I will never forget. I started to eat, but realized that it was not easy for me. I couldn't eat. You know, a starving man, how do we eat? The stomach is not used to hunger. Hunger was there. So now that I understand why Red Cross people have to feed people by intravenously, yes, give them liquid food until they can digest, they can make use of their intestines. It was not easy for me. The food was not moving. Apparently, the inner walls of my alimentary canal had collapsed to block it. That's where I made the mistake that there is in the opening of the upper intestinal wall here, lower and down. Then they did this, and then the food couldn't pass. It took me more than an hour or so. Finally, when I got up, I could hardly walk. I managed to get out of the room anyway. Then, about 100 meters towards our residence, a car a car drove towards us from behind. We guessed it was a police jeep. These three or four of us quickly dashed into a nearby gutter. Others were picked up. I guess they were either locked up or driven back into the desert and abandoned there. This was normally what had happened to what happened to illegal immigrants. What happened to illegal immigrants? Full stop. Who were caught? Illegal immigrants who were caught. Remember that this town was in Libya. I can't quite remember how long we stayed here, but a vehicle was arranged to carry us to Sabbath. I'm sorry, this is a repetition. It's not my intention. Okay, Sabbath. In what was to be our last ordeal during the journey. Yes, we had already changed our money into Libyan dinars. We did it before. Uh, We did it before entering the Republic of Niger at Ilela. At Ilela. I don't know where the name comes from. So it is either the Ilela is either ninth is Leila. Ninth is Leila. But Ilela, probably it is Illa Allah. Illallah. Natives may call it Ilela. Maybe Illallah. La ilaha illallah. Ilela. Maybe Ilela is that. That is it. Maybe that's the meaning. We did it at Agadez before entering Algeria. We did it at Agadez before entering Nigeria. In other words, we changed our money before entering Algeria. At Ilela, we changed the Nigerian naira into Niger into Nigerian money, or rather West African francs. At Agadez, we changed the francs into Algerian dinar. At Sabbath, we changed the Algerian dinar into Libyan dinar. The vehicle was a small cargo van. It was carrying empty Coca-Cola bottles to Tripoli at the back. They were, of course, in crates packed on top of each other on what seemed to be pallets. That is under which was roomy. This was the compartment we were to occupy. In other words, the jeep, whatever it is at the back, then there were crates packed on top of a platform. But then under that platform was some space, and we immigrants were asked to enter and sat down like slaves were to occupy. I tell you, it wasn't easy. We were like animals. As usual, we started at night. It was dark in there, and we had no idea in what direction we were moving. I thank God that we didn't have any accident on the way. Of course, if we did, it would have been terrible, because you imagine where we were. Have accidents and you are there. Okay, you might either be crushed. There's no way you could run out or save yourself. You have to be there. So if it is death, it's death. If it is life, it is life. Hmm? So we thank God that there was no any accident on the way. Hmm? Then I came here 3-4. The third of is it the 3rd of April or so? I marked it 3-4. And Friday it was Friday. Friday we got to Sabbath. We got to Sabbath City. For now, I can't remember what time it was or where exactly we were disembarked. This was way back in 1989. However, we were I remember we were housed in what appeared to be an abandoned school, a one-story building. There was no toilet, no bath, and the doors and windows were all absent. So, apart from the walls, all that one could see were open gaps where doors and windows were supposed to be. The weather was extremely cold, especially in the mornings and evenings. One could imagine how much we polluted the environment. Those of us who who those of us who cared, those of us who cared to bath daily, had to do that while it was dark. So you have to come out at dawn. Pardon me. You have to come out at dawn and bath. And it was very cold. But you can trust the Ghanaian. When a Ghanaian doesn't bath, no, it doesn't feel happy. So you have to force to bath in the morning in the cold like that. In the cold. I would wake up at dawn, get downstairs, and walk out of the building to bath outside. Full stop. I got used to bathing. I got used to bathing cold water in cold weather. I got used to bathing cold water in cold weather in my former secondary school. Yes, Naval School. Used to be very cold there. Naval Secondary School. And Naval Secondary School shortened Navasco. Getting water wasn't easy either. It often it often was saline, and saline means okay, salty water. The water there was salty. It often was saline from the sea. Uh, there was a nearby area called Medina Kadima, or Old City, mm, or Ancient City, Medina Kadima in Arabic, Old City in Arabic. It was actually a shade, it was actually ancient, as the name implies. It looked congested, the only free space being tiny alleys. Tiny alleys or walks within, I don't know. Tiny alleys walks within. With virtually no separation between the houses, which were identifiable by only their entrances, at least to me. So you are not used to the place. You have a house, you may not even recognize your home. But those who are living there knew, this is my door, this is my door, this is my gate. But you wouldn't know. But you a first comer, you get lost. The houses which were identifiable by only the entrances, at least to me, the place was already filled up by mostly Ghanaian and other non-Libyan immigrants from the sub-region. Of course, they were quite comfortable there. Let's pause here, viewers. Uh, Viewers, I've not been able to organize myself very well. I will, while reading, I should have been showing you pictures alongside my reading, but I wasn't. And I think it's not too late. I'll try to show a few pictures that I have here. No, I'll leave this one out. This one's out for another one. Yes, I showed this picture that I took in Paris. I showed it. I remember I showed it. Uh, and this was another one. What did I write here? Taken Wednesday, February 23rd, 1983, 5:30 a.m. This is taken Friday, February 23rd, 5:30 a.m. Let's see this one. Yes, the same day, at the same time. And this is it. This were my youthful days. So these were taken in Paris. And then here, I had a number of letters. We were writing each other, myself and Radia Fry Jekuni. And this was an, a letter she sent to me, or a parcel she sent to me. Sule Imoro, care of Mrs. BC F. Wasonye, 56 Ishanyi Street, Pangrove, Lagos. And what is here too? And I will show you. She sent me, she was a musician and a dancer. And before I go on, the pictures may not be nice looking, but I tell you, the character is nice. Most of the girls we see on YouTube, TikTok, whatnot, are not necessarily of bad behavior. I don't know. When you are growing up, you do some things and then you stop. I have done it before and stopped. They are kinder than anybody you can imagine, some of them. Mm. Uh, so this is the picture of Radia Fry to my left. If she's watching, please let's connect. This is what she sent me. I had a lot of girlfriends, but I wasn't a bad boy. Mm. Girls were following me up and down all the time, like many men. Like many young boys. When you are young, girls follow you, and when you are young, men follow you. They love you. So this is the picture of Radia Fry. Mm. I have the picture of her daughter too. I'll show it to you later. I haven't seen it yet in Paris. And that was where she was somehow a model, a dancer, a singer. But the heart is very good. Mm. When I go to TikTok and we go to this Israeli-Palestinian war, and I see the comment of the beautiful ladies, I shake my head. I say, oh, these people are godly people. We shouldn't judge them by their dress. We shouldn't. People say, don't judge a book by its cover. And others say, don't mind the body, mind the engine. The body being the outward body, the engine being the heart. So this was a picture. So Radia Fry, my sister, this is it. This is you. If you're around, let me know. If Mia too is watching it, fine. Uh, I have some the picture of Mia too and Sabrina. Hopefully show another day. Let's see. I need not show these pictures right now. Maybe another time. So I don't know where I put them. I don't know. I can mess about. When you are 60, 70, you begin to forget. You put something here, and maybe it will take you a long time and a lot of energy to remember. So later on, I will show the other pictures too, even if it's neat. Like I said, even these ones were to be shown earlier, but I couldn't for some reason. So viewers, we will end here. And when we come again in our next video, we will continue. Uh, this time I'll try to keep where we stopped very carefully. There is a paragraph there, so we stopped at, of course, they were quite comfortable there at Madina Kadima. Medina Kadima. Thank you very much. Illa likai. Bye bye till we meet again.